In a quiet town where summer afternoons seemed to linger forever and evenings were perfumed with the scent of blossoming jasmine and freshly baked bread, there was an ice cream parlor that had long been the soul of the community. Its faded red awning and hand-painted sign spoke of simpler times, of a place where neighbors met to share not only frozen treats, but stories, laughter, and the comfort of knowing they belonged to something greater than themselves. Within these warm, inviting walls worked Arjun, a humble yet determined ice cream maker whose life had been forged by the art of transforming simple ingredients into works of edible beauty. Arjun's passion for his craft was evident in every swirl of his creations. Born into a lineage of artisans, he had learned early on that the secret to life lay in blending diverse flavors and emotions into something truly unique. Though modest in his means and unassuming in his demeanor, Arjun carried within him a fierce pride for his heritage and an unyielding commitment to his art. Every batch of ice cream he crafted was not just a dessert, but a memoir, a delicate narrative of the ingredients of life, interwoven with memories of childhood, family, and the dreams of a better future. For years, the parlor had thrived as a beacon of tradition and simple pleasures. Regular patrons, young and old, found solace in the familiarity of its offerings. But one fateful day, the delicate balance of this world was disrupted by the arrival of a man whose presence threatened to shatter everything Arjun had built. This man was Mr. Ravinder, a wealthy, impeccably dressed businessman with an air of entitlement that was as palpable as it was off-putting. Known throughout the region for his ruthless approach to business and his disdain for those he deemed beneath him, Mr. Ravinder entered the parlor with an arrogance that immediately filled the space. It was a bright afternoon when he strode through the door, his eyes scanning the quaint establishment with a mix of condescension and barely concealed disdain. As he approached the counter, his gaze fell upon Arjun's modest display of flavors. With a sneer and a tone dripping with derision, he began to belittle the craftsmanship before him. "Is this all you have?" he sneered, his voice cold and dismissive. "These flavors are nothing but relics of the past, a poor attempt at recreating something that once held meaning. Don't you realize that true taste lies in sophistication and modernity?" His words cut deeply, each syllable laced with the arrogance of someone who believed himself superior to every person in the room. Arjun's heart pounded with a mixture of anger and humiliation. The insults stung like the harsh winter wind, and for days afterward, the memory of Mr. Ravinder's condescending tone haunted him. Every scoop he served, every flavor he crafted, carried the bitter aftertaste of that encounter. Yet, rather than letting the insult shatter his resolve, Arjun chose to channel his wounded pride into a single, extraordinary goal: to create a flavor that would stand as a testament to his artistry. A flavor that would force even the most arrogant to confront their own shortcomings. Late at night, long after the parlor's lights had dimmed and the laughter of the day had given way to silence, Arjun retreated to his modest kitchen. Here, in the glow of a single lamp, he experimented with a fervor that bordered on obsession. He mixed rare herbs with tangy fruits, interlaced unexpected spices with creamy textures, and poured into his work every ounce of emotion that his wounded pride could muster. The process was as painful as it was cathartic, each step in the creation of his masterpiece a small act of defiance against the cruelty of arrogance. After countless trials and many sleepless nights, the flavor that emerged was unlike anything anyone had ever tasted. He named it Frost of Retribution. This creation was a complex symphony of tastes. Bitter herbs recalled the sting of harsh words. A sour tang evoked the bitterness of humiliation, and a subtle warmth of spices hinted at the possibility of redemption. To Arjun, Frost of Retribution was more than an ice cream. It was a declaration. It was his promise that no injustice would go unanswered, that every slight, no matter how deep, could be transformed into something of beauty and truth. As the days passed, whispers of Mr. Ravinder's impending return spread through the town. Neighbors spoke in hushed tones, their eyes alight with anticipation, for they sensed that a reckoning was near. a moment when arrogance and entitlement would be humbled by the quiet, resolute art of a humble ice cream maker. As the sultry days of summer gave way to the crisp embrace of autumn, Arjun prepared his parlor with meticulous care. He polished every surface, arranged every table to perfection, and ensured that Frost of Retribution was given a place of honor on a handcrafted wooden pedestal behind the counter. The parlor, once just a place for indulgence, now pulsed with the promise of transformation. Then came the day of reckoning. On a bright yet brisk afternoon, the parlor buzzed with a nervous energy. Regulars, who had always found comfort in the familiar, now exchanged knowing glances, sensing that something extraordinary was about to unfold. Mr. Ravinder made his entrance with his usual flair, his expensive suit and haughty demeanor drawing immediate attention. His eyes swept across the room, and for a brief moment, it seemed as though time itself had paused. Finally, his gaze locked onto the new flavor that dominated the display, a flavor that radiated a mysterious, almost ethereal allure. "What's this?" he inquired, his voice carrying a mixture of curiosity and scorn. "It appears rather unconventional." The room fell silent as every eye turned to Arjun, who met Mr. Ravinder's challenge with calm determination. "It is my newest creation, sir," he said softly, his voice steady despite the turbulent emotions beneath the surface. "A blend that challenges the ordinary, that dares to honor both the sweetness and the bitterness of life." With a careful motion, Arjun scooped a generous serving of Frost of Retribution into an elegant cone and presented it before Mr. Ravinder, as if unveiling a masterpiece. For a few agonizing moments, the parlor held its breath. Mr. Ravinder examined the cone with an imperious gaze, his eyes narrowing in disbelief at the delicate artistry of the creation. Then, with a mix of skepticism and the pride of his own condescension, he took a bite. In that instant, a transformation unfolded that seemed to ripple through the very fabric of the room. His face, once carved with self-assured superiority, contorted as the cascade of flavors burst upon his tongue, a complex interplay of bitter, sour, and subtly warm notes that stirred long-forgotten memories of pain and regret. His confident facade faltered, replaced by an expression of shock and dawning remorse, as if he were forced to confront the truth of his own character. Arjun's quiet voice broke the silence that had fallen over the parlor. "Sometimes," he said, "the sweetest things conceal the bitterest truths." His words, simple yet laden with meaning, resonated with everyone present. For the first time, Mr. Ravinder's eyes flickered with an unmistakable vulnerability, a momentary glimpse of a man forced to reckon with the consequences of his arrogance. The impact of that encounter was profound and far-reaching. The story of Frost of Retribution spread like wildfire throughout the town and soon reached far beyond its borders. Newspapers carried headlines about the ice cream maker whose creation had delivered a poetic dose of justice, while social media buzzed with debates and admiration. For many, Arjun's masterpiece became a symbol of resilience and the quiet revolution that could be sparked by a single act of artistic defiance. The parlor, once seen as a quaint relic of a bygone era, now shone as a beacon of hope, a reminder that true richness was not measured in wealth, but in the courage to create beauty out of suffering. In the weeks and months that followed, Arjun's life took on a new rhythm. His parlor became a sanctuary not only for those seeking a delicious treat, but also for individuals hungry for change and inspiration. Locals began to gather in the parlor to share their own stories of hardship and triumph. The space transformed into a community hub where conversations flowed as freely as the ice cream, and where the simple act of indulging in a unique flavor became a shared ritual of healing and transformation. Arjun was invited to speak at community events, where he explained his philosophy with quiet conviction. "Every ingredient in my ice cream," he would say, "represents a fragment of our lives. The bitter herbs remind us of the pain and challenges we endure. The sour notes echo the moments of despair and regret, and the warm spices are the sparks of hope that propel us forward, even in the darkest times. His words resonated deeply with those who listened, and soon, his parlor was not only a place to enjoy a frozen delight, but also a haven for anyone seeking solace, understanding, and the courage to embrace change. Even Mr. Ravinder, the man whose arrogance had once fueled the creation of Frost of Retribution, could not escape the transformative power of that fateful encounter. Although he never publicly acknowledged the impact of that singular moment, those who knew him began to notice subtle, yet undeniable changes. In quiet moments of introspection, his once haughty gaze softened, and he started engaging in small acts of generosity, gestures that hinted at a man slowly coming to terms with his own imperfections. Alone in his study, Mr. Ravinder would often recall the taste of that ice cream, the unexpected interplay of bitterness and warmth that had forced him to face the emptiness beneath his polished exterior. It was a memory that gnawed at him, a reminder that true sophistication lay not in the accumulation of wealth, but in the depth of one's humanity. As autumn melted into winter, the seasons themselves seemed to echo the transformation taking place within the town. Arjun introduced new flavors inspired by the crisp chill and the delicate beauty of frost-kissed mornings. Each creation was a work of art, a blend of flavors that celebrated life's contradictions and celebrated both its hardships and its moments of pure, unadulterated joy. The parlor thrived as a meeting place where strangers became friends over shared scoops of ice cream, and where the collective experience of transformation knitted the community together into a tapestry of resilience and hope. In the quiet hours of early winter mornings, when the first light of dawn filtered softly through frost-lined windows, Arjun would often find himself reflecting on the journey that had brought him to that moment. Alone in the back room of his parlor, a space adorned with relics of the past, faded photographs, and handwritten recipes passed down through generations, he would write long letters to himself, documenting the evolution of his craft and the lessons he had learned from both pain and triumph. These musings, written in careful, deliberate strokes, eventually found their way into a published collection that captured the hearts of many, resonating as a testament to the enduring power of perseverance and the beauty of transformation. Years passed, and the legend of Frost of Retribution grew ever stronger. The ice cream parlor became a cultural landmark, its story recounted by locals with a mixture of pride and reverence. Murals were painted on the walls outside the parlor, vibrant depictions of swirling colors that blended bitter and sweet into a harmonious whole. These murals served as visual reminders of the day when a humble ice cream maker challenged the arrogance of a wealthy client and, in doing so, sparked a quiet revolution that changed the course of an entire community. At the annual town festival, an event that had long celebrated the traditions of the past, Arjun's parlor was adorned with garlands and illuminated with soft, inviting lights. In a grand ceremony, a mural was unveiled on the side of the building, depicting a vivid, swirling tapestry of colors that encapsulated the essence of Frost of Retribution. The mural, a collaborative masterpiece created by local artists and community members, depicted scenes of struggle and redemption, of bitter injustice transformed into sweet hope. Standing before the mural, Arjun recalled the moment Mr. Ravinder had first walked into his shop, the scorn in his eyes, and the taste of that unforgettable ice cream that had forever altered his destiny. In that moment of reflection, Arjun realized that his journey was far greater than a single act of retribution. It had grown into a movement, a collective awakening in which every person, no matter how humble or wounded, could find strength in the power of art and the simple act of creation. His ice cream was no longer merely a dessert. It had become a symbol of the resilience of the human spirit, a tangible reminder that every painful ingredient of life could be transformed into something beautiful if mixed with courage, compassion, and a steadfast refusal to accept injustice. As the years wore on, the parlor continued to serve as a sanctuary for those in need of a sweet reprieve from the harshness of life. People from distant towns traveled to taste Arjun's legendary creations and to share in the story of how one man's defiance had sparked a transformation that rippled through an entire community. The bonds forged over shared flavors and heartfelt conversations deepened into lifelong friendships and a network of support that transcended social and economic divides. Even Mr. Ravinder's legacy was transformed by that fateful encounter. In quiet moments of introspection, he began to see that the arrogance and entitlement that had once defined him were not signs of strength, but weaknesses that isolated him from true connection. Over time, he found subtle ways to mend the bridges he had once carelessly burned, engaging in charitable acts and seeking forgiveness from those he had wronged. Though his transformation was slow and private, it was no less profound, a testament to the power of a single taste to awaken the dormant humanity within even the coldest of hearts. Throughout it all, Arjun remained at the heart of the community, a gentle, unwavering presence whose artistry had transcended the realm of simple desserts. His life, like the flavors he so carefully crafted, was a blend of bitter and sweet, of hardship and hope. Every day in the parlor was a new chapter in the ongoing narrative of transformation, a narrative that continued to inspire those who walked through its doors, whether to find solace in a scoop of ice cream or to share in the collective journey of healing and redemption. Now, as I conclude this account of Arjun's enduring legacy, I am reminded of the power of a single act of creativity to alter lives and transform communities. The story of Frost of Retribution is more than just a tale of revenge or retribution. It is a celebration of the indomitable human spirit and the belief that, even in the face of the harshest injustice, beauty can emerge. It is a story of how a humble ice cream maker, with nothing more than his passion, his resilience, and a deep-seated commitment to honor the forgotten flavors of life, transformed not only his own destiny, but also the hearts of all those who dare to believe in the redemptive power of art. In the soft glow of a winter morning, when the world seems hushed and full of promise, Arjun's parlor continues to shine as a beacon of hope, a place where every flavor tells a story, where every scoop is a testament to the transformative power of creativity and compassion. And as long as there are those who believe that even the bitterest moments can be remixed into something sweet, the legend of Frost of Retribution will live on, inspiring new generations to embrace their own vulnerabilities, to transform their pain into art, and to share the sweetness of redemption with a world in desperate need of hope.